Anyway, I wanted to thank you guys for joining us. We've got Bob Greska on the show. We're going to be talking about carbon-60. I apologize for not having my microphone on, but these things happen. There's a lot of buttons to push, and things to do here. So we'll be talking with Bob Greska. I'll introduce him in just a second about carbon-60. He's basically been studying this carbon-60 molecule his whole life, and it's going to be really interesting, and is living a long, healthy life more about detoxification and getting things out of our body than about putting things in. So we'll introduce him in just a second. Let me give you guys a little bit of a insight into some of our shows that we've been doing recently. Let's see here. Some of our recent shows have been the power of hyperbaric oxygen therapy. We had Dr. Scott Schur on talking about that. We had Dr. Gerald Smith on talking about autoimmune diseases and cancer and using some energy frequency medicines there. And then Dr. Richard Massey, we talked about family constellation therapy, timeline therapy, spiritual healing, and how that is related to our overall health. So if you guys want to join the show, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to listen to us on iTunes and subscribe on there. And I'm not sure if this got in the show before, but this is episode 608 with Bob Greska. He is an aerospace engineer, spent most of his life working in carbon, worked with Lockheed Martin, and developed this interesting carbon-60 molecule. And it's really, really fascinating, some of the studies and research that have been coming out regarding carbon-60. So let me bring him up on the show and bring him on. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. Bob, how are you doing today, my friend?
Hey, Justin, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, sorry about that intro for about 30 seconds or a minute or two. There was no audio. It's like these things.
Like you say, you got to push the right buttons.
I know, right? I know, yeah. So whereabouts are you located?
We're outside of Denver in Littleton, Colorado.
Okay. Have your systems or have your labs and been there for the since you started, or have you moved?
No, we've most of the time we've been right in Littleton. We have not moved anywhere else. We have not, we changed locations a little bit, locally here to a different facility, to a larger facility to upscale our production. Yeah. I've been
researching carbon-60, and it seems like it's the, it's been around forever, obviously, but these things sort of take trends. But man, some of the research going on about carbon-60 is pretty crazy. And the way you got into all of this through being an aerospace engineer is a crazy story. Tell people a little bit about that.
Well, my background is in a materials and process engineer. I studied carbon fiber. When I was in college, graphite epoxy, and I studied materials and processes engineering, and I worked in the aerospace business making spacecraft components and frames and so forth out of the carbon fiber. Then I moved into working into health and human performance field when I left the aerospace business in 1990 to start my own company, Engineering Innovations, which we developed various athletic performance. And it's funny that you mentioned the hyperbaric chamber on your opening there, because we developed a hypobaric chamber, which is actually a vacuum chamber, which is basically a tube you get. It's just the opposite of a pressure chamber, like a hypo is a vacuum chamber, and it does something similar in the fact that it works with your blood cells, but it's just the opposite. So when you're out of the chamber, you have the benefits. With a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, when you're in the chamber, you have the benefits. That was the basic difference. So we developed a few products like that for health and human performance. But the most interesting and what I've been working on since 2012 is the carbon-60 molecule. I developed a process to produce carbon-60 without the use of solvents, which is traditionally and which is the way everybody else does it. Mm-hmm. So we're able to produce molecules that are not clustered together. So the efficacy of them as far as donating electrons to your free radicals is significantly improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are the issues with having solvents in there or other binders and things like that? What does that do to the carbon molecule if they are in there?
They kind of hold it together, and so that's why they have to be separated.
Okay.
Any residue from the solvent that's in there. Plus, the solvents are toxic. They're good, and they accumulate in your body. They're not just they don't just get in there and pass through. The solvent that's most commonly used is toluene, and they use toluene, xylene, but toluene is more common, and they use that in the production of the carbon-60 molecules. And in doing so, they've made great strides in removing more of it. But I don't believe that they have it all removed yet, and that's why we have a process that uses no solvents, so we don't have to try to remove them. Our molecules are not clustered together; they're free roaming, or they're much smaller. We did some microscope work the other day, and we looked at them. They were about 4,000 times smaller in size than looking at some of the competitors out there.
That's interesting. So when you talk about smaller, do you mean smaller just because they're not clustered together, or the actual, if you were to decluster other brands, your molecule would be smaller as well?
No. Yeah, the cluster size would be smaller, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smaller. About 4,000 times is what we calculated and measured.
Wow, 4,000 times. So how small are these molecules then?
Well, the carbon-60 molecule is about 1.1 nanometers in diameter. So they're fairly small. In the width of a human hair, it would take 100,000 of them to bridge the width of a human hair. So they're extremely tiny. And that's the benefit. That's what makes the carbon molecule work, is that the smallness of size, the availability to float around your body, and to seek out free radicals, which are basically molecules in your body which are missing electrons. And so they can, by the magnetic charge, the plus or minus, they can drift over and attach to that and pull together magnetically, share the electron, complete the free radical. So it's not a free radical anymore. It's a working molecule, and therefore, when you turn that molecule back on, your body has more energy. You have more, basically you have more molecules. You're firing on all 8 cylinders instead of firing on 7 cylinders, let's say, for an example.
That makes sense. So help me understand a little bit about the electron and how that works with free radicals. So what you're saying is that some of these components that are in our bodies, like chemicals or any toxins that we're exposed to, are they missing an electron and then the carbon-60 donates? Or is it more of a something is, the carbon-60 is positively charged and these things are negatively charged and they attract each other that way? Or are both of those processes going on? Help me understand a little bit about how it actually seeks these things out in the body. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, you pretty much have it right, but to simplify it and put it in layman's terms, toxins, we get from the air, water, and food we eat, and we can't avoid them. We all have toxins in our body. Uh-huh. And toxins basically are electron seekers. They seek out and try to steal an electron off your molecules in your body. And in doing so, they make it a free radical that now that molecule doesn't function anymore. So what happens is the carbon-60 will drift over to it, attach to it by a magnetic attraction, donate or share an electron, and in doing so, it completes that. So basically toxins are electron stealers, and the carbon-60 molecule is an electron donor. And even to the point where there's toxins in your body looking for an electron, mm-hmm. The carbon-60 molecule will provide an electron for that toxin and therefore neutralizing it. So it not only also repairs the damage that the toxin has done, it also repairs or removes the toxin from your body or neutralizes it.
Interesting. So it donates an electron to one of these toxin or toxic chemicals, and then after it donates the electron, it helps to usher that out through a magnetic sort of pull or charge, and then it comes out of the body. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes, most of them, once it's neutralized, there's no electrical charge, no affinity, so it doesn't have any reason to attach the toxin in your body. So it basically just passes out your GI tract. It has no electrical charge. It's not seeking an electron. It's been satisfied with an electron. So it just neutralizes, it just sloughs off and passes out your body.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're doing all this research because in the last few years I've been researching a lot about light and the electron chain transport in the mitochondria and photons and how these things are really the basis of health as we're all sort of beings of light, right? We hold on to light, and I've been doing a lot of research in that. And the fact that you're talking about donating electrons, this electrical charge, Dr. Jerry Tennant in Texas has a book called Healing is Voltage, and so this whole electron and photon and all of this stuff is really fascinating because when you get down to really true health, a lot of people are focused on the foods we're eating, and obviously that's super important. But man, it's really all about photons, electrons, and this charge that you're talking about, right?
Well, correct. It is. In a nutshell, carbon-60 is a superior antioxidant. Antioxidants you find in your dark berries, your red wine, your kale, your spinach. They're very much similar. They are antioxidants, just like the carbon-60 molecule.
Uh-huh.
Carbon-60 just has the property of being very, very small. And so the smallest in size, the more surface area, the more of them you have, the more, and the easier they are, since they're so small, they have a very low mass. They can attract to that free radical very, very easy. Like I give an analogy, it's easier to push a ping pong ball than it is to push a car.
Right, right.
So when you have that small electrical charge force, that's what pulls them together.
That's so fascinating. So the size really matters with this, obviously.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, size is I think it's the biggest proponent and the biggest factor in making the carbon-60 work. It's very, very small. They're extremely tiny.
So when these carbon-60 molecules sort of proliferate and float throughout the body and they're doing their thing when you ingest them, are they able to break down? You know how we have all these different barriers, the blood-brain barrier, we've got the barrier of the GI tract, and since they're so small, are they able to sort of like similar to DMSO, just sort of penetrate everything and get into those blood-brain barriers? Do you think?
Well, theoretically, yes, they are very small. We are doing some testing at one of the local universities. They're going to be studying. Hopefully, they're going to be studying exactly that. Do they actually penetrate or prove that they penetrate the blood-brain barrier? Mm-hmm. But as far as their size, theoretically, they should go through without a problem.
Yeah, I've heard it described recently as like a buckyball kind of a situation where there's like 16 sides, or there's a bunch of different sides to the molecule, and then it attracts positively or negatively charged particles in the body. Is there any truth to that, do you think?
Well, yeah, they're basically the carbon-60 molecule in the fullerenes were named after Buckminster Fuller.
Okay.
Buckminster Fuller was the guy who developed, he was a futurist and architect, and he developed a geodesic dome, the glass dome, that's made up of triangles and squares and rectangles and pentagons and hexagons. Pentagons and hexagon is what makes up the surface of the carbon-60 molecule. It pretty much looks like a soccer ball, if you can imagine all the lines or all the junctions where all the carbon-60 molecules are, or the carbon molecule, the 60 carbon molecules, the 60 carbon atoms are. They're at the junctions of what's the lines on the soccer ball.
Interesting. So all of the different sides of the molecule, it's just interesting thinking about like why is it shaped the way it's shaped. It must be a reason for all those sides to be on there.
Well, yeah, I believe there is. That's the shape that would pentagons and hexagons would actually pentagons and hexagons would actually form the shape of the soccer ball. And if you can imagine, there's 60 carbon atoms, and carbon is a double bond. If you bond carbon to carbon, they share 2 electrons. That's the reason why carbon fiber is so strong. They're not just sharing 1 electron, and that's a fairly reasonable bond, but all your metals have that and so forth. But if you share 2 electrons, like the carbon atom does, now you've got 60 carbon atoms on this buckyball, or the soccer ball looking shape. And on the surface of it, you have twice that many, so you have 120 electrons buzzing around the surface of that, holding that together. So that's why there's so many electrons there. It's so easy for it to give up an electron and to donate it, because it's just loaded on the surface with double bonds.
Wow. Wow. So when we're creating and just living in our life, we're creating free radicals in our body, right? Through stress or toxins and chemicals. Where are we picking up all these free radicals, do you think?
Well, mostly from toxins. I think that's the big culprit. Back before the Industrial Revolution, say 200 years ago or something like that, we didn't have a collection or a densification or a concentration of certain elements or chemicals. And now that since that time period, we have concentrated different materials. That seems to be where the problem arises, getting these concentrations of materials. They're showing up as toxins, and they're stealing electrons off the molecules in your body.
Wow. So they just go throughout the body and steal electrons, and these toxins in our body are looking for an electron. And if they don't get that, then what happens to them?
Well, they will eventually get it. It's exposed to more toxins,
Yeah.
because they're going to want to. I mean, it depends. That's why the heavy metals, they have more mass. They're heavier, and that's why they say the heavy metals are more toxic, because they're just denser. So they have a stronger pull, and once they get to a point, if you have a high concentration of free radicals, let me back up a little bit. Your body will naturally remove the free radicals. Like as you work out, say you have a high muscle function, you have oxidative stress, you generate free radicals. And these free radicals are naturally removed from your body over the course of the next 3 days after you work out. And that's where you get that muscle soreness. It's called delayed onset muscle soreness. It comes in 12 to 24 hours after you work out. But if you have the carbon-60 molecule available there, where your body will naturally get rid of them over 2 or 3 days, if the carbon-60 molecule is there, it would remove it immediately. And so you don't have that delayed onset muscle soreness. And this is really the reason why you work out. You work out, you generate free radicals, your body removes the free radicals in 2 or 3 days. Now, not only does it remove the free radicals caused by the oxidative stress or the high muscle function, it removes the free radicals caused by the toxins. And that's what you want. That's why you work out, to bolster or improve your free radical removal system in your body. It's because it removes the free radicals caused by the exercise and also by the toxins. And that's important. And that's basically the reason why you work out.
Yeah, so ultimately, if someone is working out or living a high stress sort of lifestyle and exposed to a lot of toxins, the body can do what you're saying it should do, which is get rid of all these free radicals. It can do it, but in order to do that, it's got to probably get ATP from the mitochondria, use up energy, and it's very taxing on the body to be able to get all this stuff out, even though it can do it. But what you're saying is that the carbon-60 molecule can sort of aid in this process, right, and get those toxins out of our body so that it doesn't have to use all its own energy to do that, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The most people don't work out. Most people don't eat healthy. In this day and age, we got toxins everywhere, pesticides on our products, and so forth.
Right.
So we're inundated with all these toxins, and your body works at removing them. Yes, but if you don't work out on a regular basis, is something like antioxidants, like your red wines, your grapes, your dark berries. Those are the things that really help and improve removing the free radicals. They're antioxidants. They are electron donors, let's call them, and they'll remove the free radicals from your body. But with the carbon and the smallness, they're much smaller than what's available in the red wine and the grapes and so forth. They're a much smaller size, so they're much easier to pass around your body and to work on these free radicals, which are molecules in your body that don't function because they miss an electron. They know not what they are. You give them an electron back, they function better, and they're actually producing and contributing to your body's energy. And that's why most people, after about 4 days taking our product, they realize that, wow, I have more energy, I feel better. We call it we joke around, we call it the Frampton effect. Frampton comes alive. I mean, people's body just sparks up and they have more energy.
That's so fun. I love that. So can these molecules, the carbon-60 molecules, do you know if they get inside the cell, like actually inside?
Oh, yeah. They get inside the cell, inside the mitochondria. They bolster the mitochondria function, which is the powerhouse of your body, powerhouse of the cell. So, yeah, they do. People seem to report that they do have that energy. They notice it.
Wow, that's so crazy. So explain again how thick or how large these are. I think you said it takes a certain amount to span the width of a human hair.
Yeah, they're a billionth of a meter.
Wow.
A meter's about three feet, so it's much smaller, 1/1000th of a meter. In the width of a human hair would take about 100,000 of these molecules, which we have shown back here. Here we go, that one there. That's what it looks like a buckyball. It takes about 100,000 of those side by side to bridge the width of a human hair, and that smallness of size is really a big factor.
Man, that is crazy. So when you take, like I have my bottle here, which is really cool, man. I've been taking this since you sent it. And for those that want to check it out, it's C60.com. But so when you're taking like a dropper full of this, how many molecules do you think are in that?
Well, I just want to correct you. It's C-60.com. So if you want to put that dash in there, that makes it get to our website.
Oh, cool.
But
okay.
a dropper full of carbon-60 sunflower oil, there's over 100 billion particles of carbon or carbon-60 molecules. There's over 100 billion of them, and that's an excess. That's a lot. So they're very available. They're extremely tiny, and that's what makes and we pack. Our product is super concentrated. We pack quite a bit of carbon-60 into our sunflower oil, and we're able to do that on two accounts. One is that we dissolve the carbon-60 into the oil, and once we dissolve that dissolved carbon-60 is clear, pretty much like you put salt water in a glass of water, salt in a glass of water, it'll show clear. As you put more salt in it, it shows, it starts to collect on the bottom because you reach the saturation point. But the particles of our product, the carbon-60 we make it monomolecular, or we make it nanoparticles to start with. They're very, very small, so it goes into a colloidal suspension. So we have dissolved, and then we add a considerable amount more in suspension, in colloidal suspension. So that's why our serving size is only 1/8 of a teaspoon. 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's basically two-thirds of a milliliter per serving, which is 1/8 of a teaspoon.
Interesting. So how is this different than activated charcoal? Because that's been in the natural health community for a long time. And where do you derive the actual carbon from?
Well, activated charcoal is very large. Activated charcoal is a process. They take carbon and they'll inject steam into it and blow holes through it, so they'll increase the surface area.
Okay.
The surface area of activated charcoal, like a thimbleful of that, is enough surface area to cover a basketball court.
Oh my goodness.
Okay? But yeah, because this, you can just imagine this looks like Swiss cheese, but very, very small. And the smaller you go, the more surface area you have. Now, since the carbon-60, and you can see that with the naked eye, you can see the little tiny pores in there. But carbon-60, you cannot see the size of the molecules with the naked eye because they're so small. You can't even see them with a standard conventional microscope, which I show in the background here. You cannot see an individual carbon-60 molecule. You can't even see it with a scanning electron microscope or even a higher power transmission electron microscope. You cannot get down to the atomic size. It's very difficult. There's only a few microscopes in the world that will get down to looking at the atomic size.
Wow, that's so crazy. So in other products, you've noticed that they sort of cluster together, and that's sort of the issue with, you know, like some of the other
Well,
products and how they work.
yeah, some of the other competitors, I really don't like to talk much about the competitors, but their products do, they're made with a solvent, toluene, and then they evaporate the toluene off by either vacuum oven drying it or even a higher vacuum and a higher temperatures. But it doesn't, it removes the volatile components of the toluene. But there's non-volatile components of the toluene. We've taken toluene ourselves and volatilized it off, and there's a residue left in there. It's like a honey, dried up honey consistency. It's kind of gummy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure a lot of the people that have manufactured the carbon 60 at home, they buy it from a vendor that produces the raw carbon 60 powder, and then they take it home and they'll mortise and pestle grind it to get the particles down as fine as they can, because they come in about the size of a fine pepper. So you can see them with the naked eye. So they grind them down very small, and that's what they're doing. They're separating this what appears to be this toluene residue that's left in there, this gummy stuff that doesn't flash off. And so they get that very small, and then it's mixed for a couple of weeks and to further separate or dissolve that solvent residue away from the carbon 60 molecule, and then they have it what they call is dissolved. It's in solution at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have the in our product, we don't use any solvents, so we don't have that issue to deal with, or the toxicity of the solvents in our product.
Interesting. So where do you derive your carbon from? Because I think activated charcoal, you can get different sort of sources, right? Like coconuts and things like that. As far as your carbon 60, where does it come from?
Well, that's part of our proprietary process, and I can't go into details where we derive it from, but it's a clean source. We're able to separate the carbon molecules away from the other atoms in the product, and they all come off, they all go off, and we're left with the carbon molecule, and then we sort of rearrange the carbon atoms into a structure that resembles the start of making a sphere, and then we do it on a macro scale, but then as we focus things down, we focus it down to infinitely small, which forms into the carbon 60 molecule at that point.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. If you guys want to check out his website, Bob's website, it is c-60.com. I think I said c60.com. It's c-60.com if you guys want to learn more about what he's up to and what he's doing at Carbon 60 and learn more. And fascinating stuff. And when we come back from the break, I want to ask him about some of these studies improving lifespan with carbon and how, if that's possible, and what he's seen from that. So we'll talk to him in just a second about that. I did want to tell you guys too about this Juve red light therapy. If you guys have not checked out this thing yet, I'm telling you guys, red light. I've been studying a lot about light lately, and you can see a photo of me using my Juve here, standing in front of this crazy this crazy red light. But red light and light in general helps to activate our mitochondria. And as we know, our mitochondria is what is the powerhouse of the cell. The mitochondria is what creates ATP. Your mitochondria creates water in the system, and it helps to make sure that your body has the energy it needs to do what it's supposed to do. Light therapy is something I've been really dialing in lately, learning how to mitigate the effects of blue light, bringing in more of the red light in the 660 to 850 nanometer range, which is what the Juve red light therapy does. It's an amazing piece of equipment. There's a quote that says, red light is amazing at recharging your mitochondria. It also stimulates DNA and RNA synthesis. It activates the lymphatic system, increases blood flow, which is great for carrying waste from the body, repairing damaged damaged tissue. It's great for inflammation and swelling, all the way down to the deep tissues. This Juve Light is something that I use every day. So make sure to check it out if you guys want to bring light therapy, and especially for this time of year, like in the northern hemisphere here with seasonal effectiveness disorder. We are light beings, and we need to hold on and store more electrons from light and photons as well. So the red light therapy device is incredible, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. Also, I wanted to tell you about the Omica Organics 12-stage RO water system. It is really all about light, water, and magnetism, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, we're electrical beings much more than we are physical. And like what Bob's talking about here is electrons, and how, donating electrons and to the toxic chemicals that we're exposed to is key, right? And water becomes your blood within 30 minutes of drinking it. So you really want to dial in your water. And we've had a lot of people email in and ask, like, what about the water I'm drinking versus the water I'm bathing in? In my opinion, the water you're bathing in is more important than the water you drink, because as you know, our skin is our largest organ, and we want to make sure that we're not creating volatile or compounds in the shower when we're in the shower, and all that stuff gets reabsorbed back into our skin, which is extremely dangerous. So the Omica 12-stage reverse osmosis, it's actually beyond RO system. Been really loving this thing. We've had ours for about a year now, and after about a year, I finally figured, okay, it's time to tell people about it and put it in our store. And so what's great about it is it lowers the TDS to just about nothing. Your conventional tap water, the municipal tap water, has over 24,000 chemicals in it. Parasites, homeopathic residues, chemotherapy, residue, tampon residue. I mean, it's incredible. So we want to make sure we're not re-exposing our bodies to these types of chemicals. That then we have to use the C60 to get this stuff out. So the Omica Organics 12-stage RO water system is what we recommend. We love it. We use it in our store. Or in our house, and it's in our store if you guys want to check it out. I'll put a link to it. It's if you want to check it out, just go to extremehealthradio.com, and you can see pictures of it and all that good stuff, and you can learn more about it as well. But let me bring Bob back on. We've been giving it to our dogs and their food, and so how much I've been doing, like a dropper, probably a dropper full for each dog. We have 2 dogs. Is that too much, do you think?
Yeah, that's you don't need to use that much. You're wasting it. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's just going to pass through their body like a vitamin. If you don't use a vitamin, it just passes through your body. And that's the same thing here. It passes through your body in about 10 hours. So, people that, we have some people that say, well, I want to get more out of it. I have some serious concerns. And so we say, well, take a half a dropper twice a day. More frequently is better than more of it. So you want to, and apply it topically. Now for your dogs and pets, we have a lot of people using it for their cats and their dogs and their rabbits and their horses and so forth. And the horses are kind of a different story. They're a big animal, so we go by the millimeter on that, or milliliter. But for pets, you're using too much. You probably only need about 1 drop per 5 pounds of pet. And that's our product. That's because we're super concentrated.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I've been giving them almost a full vial full. So that's a lot of waste. Well, it's a lot of wasted product.
It's a little bit of a waste, but it's not. It's not going to hurt them by any means.
Yeah.
It's just a bit wasteful. I mean, the product's not the least expensive thing in the world, but it's probably the most beneficial.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, my wife we have about almost 3-month-old twins, and we're breastfeeding. Would this be something that women that are breastfeeding would want to avoid because it's pulling toxins out? Because typically they say, when you're breastfeeding or when you're actually pregnant, and it's not good to detox. But is that an issue here, do you think?
I don't think so, because carbon's naturally found in all products and all foods, and not the carbon-60 molecule. But carbon is, we haven't had any concerns or any complications or any problems, or no one's reported any such thing. I feel it's fine for women that are pregnant, people that are with children, breastfeeding for children, and so forth. I have people using it on their infants that have some issues, and so there's no concern. It's completely safe. There's no concern.
Yeah, I hear you. We got a question here in the chat room by Naamin. It says, "Can you anoint your head with it? Does it help for baldness?" Interesting.
I've noticed myself personally when I started taking it, my beard length, my stubble grew twice as fast. My son complains. He's 18. He says, Dad, I got to get my hair cut every 3 weeks. My hair grows so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people. We have photographs of one gentleman. The back of his head he's got gray hair, and then successively every week or 2 weeks or a month apart, they've taken another picture of the back of his head, and his hair actually is turning back to his natural color of being black.
Wow.
So you talk about anti-aging or age reversal. I mean, that's an indicator, but maybe it's just turning those receptors on that produce the black color in your hair again because they weren't functioning because of free radicals. Yeah, people put it on their head. I had a lady with a head injury a couple of days ago, actually, and I went and visited her with a house. She worked at Los Alamos when she was younger. She's 88 years old. And so I went over, I visited her here in Colorado, and she had a tremor, a twitching in her hand, and every little bit. She put some on her hand, that stopped. Her elbow was sore, that stopped like in 2 minutes. And she put some on her shoulder. We put some on her head. Her head pain felt much better. I mean, so yeah, you could put it on topically for hair growth. I imagine it will stimulate it. I don't know, but what I've seen with my beard and my son and other people reporting us in the hair color, so forth, it may very well have a positive effect in growing hair where hair does not grow.
Yeah,
Or has to slow down.
I wonder if I'm just thinking of different use cases for it. You talked about putting it in the eye, and I'm wondering, I wonder if it would be something that you could put in your ear. Do you think that would be a?
I've had people put it in their ear. Matter of fact, I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you my experience in a minute, but I've had people with ringing in their ear, and they said, "Oh gosh, what can I do?" And I said, "Well, try putting some in your ear, on your ear, around your ear, behind your ear. Try that." And they did, and they had positive results with it within a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
The ringing stopped. I had another gentleman do the same thing, and he didn't tell me that he was pretty much deaf in the other ear. The one ear he had ringing, and the other ear was deaf, and he put drops in both ears. And he said he could hear out of the ear that he could not hear out of. That intrigued me amazingly so. So as soon as I heard that, I went into the bathroom and I put some drops in my ear and let it get down in my ear, and then of course it drips out the side.
Yeah.
And in 30 seconds, I could not recognize my own voice. I sounded like a different person. Now, I mean, I could hear tones that I could not hear before.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's
crazy. It's crazy. I mean, there's crazy stuff like this that happens all the time. I'm just giving my personal experience.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of people tell me very similar experiences.
Now how long would a bottle last of this? Would this last about a month, or if you use it according to the directions, or how long would this last, do you think?
Well, it's 2/3 of a dropper, or basically the drop. You give one good squeeze to the black bulb on top, and it fills the glass pipette a little bit over halfway, which is 2/3. That's 2/3 of a milliliter. And 2/3 of a milliliter once a day, that bottle will last for 45 days. So it's a 45-day supply.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
you don't use an excessive amount of it. You're taking about 1/8 of a teaspoon. So there's no excessive oil that you're consuming. You're consuming a very small amount since it's highly concentrated. And it's very, very black.
Yeah.
Very black liquid.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It looks like it would stain just about everything it touched.
Well, stain is probably not the right word. I mean, I've had it on white shirts and so forth, and I mean, the oil that we use as a carrier will wash out your first washing, but the carbon molecules will stay embedded in your the fabric of your shirt. But I put it through 5 washings. It finally beat those little particles out of it, so they came the shirt came clean. So yeah, it's about 5 washings. So I had to do that test to see if I could get it out.
That's funny. So why do you use the sunflower oil versus other types of carrier oils?
Well, we studied various oils. We studied olive oil, grapeseed, and just researched which are the healthiest oils for you. Olive oil, we could not find a satisfactory oil. They're small batch. There are a lot of particulate in them. They vary batch to batch to batch. They go rancid. A lot of them will give a peppery burn in the back of your throat about 3 seconds after you take it. And a lot of them are shipped over from Italy. That's where most of the quality olive oil comes from. And traveling over the shipping container on the boats there, they see upwards of 120 degrees. And a lot of it, from what I understand, already when it gets here, it's already starting to turn rancid. And so we thought olive oil was not a good candidate. So we looked at the variety, and we tested like 10 olive oils, different ones. And so we tested, and being a materials and process test engineer, that's my forte. So we tested a variety of different oils, and we found that sunflower oil has really good suspension. So it holds a particle, in suspension in a colloidal solution for quite a long time, about a year, and then it will drop out. But you'll see at the bottom of the bottle, the bottom third of the bottle, in about a year there'll be like a cloud of black. But you just shake it up for about 30 seconds, and it's good for another year. Mm-hmm. The taste was a big factor. The sunflower oil we use it's GMO, non-GMO, and it's also certified organic. And there's very little taste in it. It's highly filtered. Mm-hmm. It's highly filtered, so there's very little or no taste to it at all. And a lot of people know what sunflower oil is. Some of these other exotic oils like grapeseed and so forth, people don't understand, or they haven't heard of them much. They're probably a little bit better quality, but they all group together in the top 95%. Some of the oils, they're all fairly healthy for you. Mm-hmm. So that's why we chose sunflower oil, and we like it. We like sunflower oil very much. Mm-hmm. It works topically. It absorbs into your skin. If you put it on, you have an oily feel for about 2 hours, but after that, according to a test I did on my arm, 2 hours later there was no oily texture at all. So if you do put it on topically, watch out you don't put a white shirt on right after that, or lay down on your white sheets in your bed and you're going to turn them shade of gray.
Oh, black. Yeah. So with this, are there any issues if you leave it in your car and it gets hot or sun gets on it? Is there any issue with destabilization?
We haven't seen that. We've done some tests actually in Colorado here. We have pretty intense sun since we're up at a high altitude of 5,000 feet. We left it in the hot sun of a dashboard for all summer long. We didn't see any degradation of the product, but we still recommend that you keep it in a cool, dark place as you would any oil. Keep it underneath your bathroom cupboard. If you buy a like one of our discounted 6-packs or something like that, every time you take a bottle out, pull it out, give it a shake, and then by the time you use it, it's fine. So we haven't seen it. We've never had a bottle go bad or sour or rancid ever, not once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff for sure, most definitely. Carbon 60. So if they want to go on your website, let me bring it up too while I'm talking. People can go on there and look at the different research that's studies that have been done, and I think you have an area under science. Is that right? And do you have a list of studies that have been done on carbon 60?
Yeah, we have some reviews on there. You can click the reviews, and those are basically people that wrote in and told us what whether it was a health issue or a sports related or an athletic issue, but athletes use it and they perform their all-time best because of the free radicals. So we talk about the discovery of, when it was discovered in 1985, they discovered or theorized the carbon-60 molecule. But even before that, Buckminster Fuller, talking to some of his friends that are still alive, he passed away years ago, but they used to work with him, and they were saying that Bucky, as they call him, theorized that the carbon-60 molecule, the molecule, not really saying that it was going to be made out of carbon, but the shape of this molecule was going to be a healing molecule. Buckminster Fuller predicted many things that came true. Like he's got I think he predicted 51 things and 50 of them came true. So one of them is that the carbon-60 turned out to be, or the 60, the buckyball, the geodesic dome-shaped molecule turned out to be a healing molecule, and it sure seems like it has supported health issues and healing different parts of your body.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Well, Bob, thanks for being on the show and just describing a little bit about what C60 does and the molecule involved and what it does to the electrons and helps pull things out. I appreciate your time today, and thanks for sharing all that with us. It's really awesome.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate being on the show. It was nice to be here. And they can visit the website at c-60.com. We have a lot of free information there. So if they want to learn about carbon-60, go to c-60.com, click on it, and we do have a store on there. We do sell the product there too. So.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for your time, and I'll be in contact with you very soon on email.
Great. Thanks, Justin.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah. Bye-bye now.
All right, there you go, Mr. Bob Greska talking about C60. Got a lot of cool and interesting guests coming up. I wanted to bring up some of those if you guys haven't seen some of our guests. If you go to extremehealthradio.com, I'll bring that up really quickly so you guys can take a look. Tomorrow's show is going to be with Dr. Will Falconer. We'll be talking with him about natural pet care. And how to use homeopathy and natural solutions for your dogs and cats. So that'll be really cool. Then on Friday, gosh, this week has been just crazy in terms of shows. We've been doing a show every single day. It was just absolutely nuts. But it's really fun. And we had a couple open slots for the Tuesday and the Thursday options that we really wanted to get to you guys. And Dr. Will Falconer is one of them. He's over at vitalanimal.com. And so that's going to be tomorrow. If you have any issues with your dogs, or you want to make sure that you're feeding them good food, or you have any questions for a holistic homeopathic vet for Dr. Will Falconer, make sure to join that show and we'll ask your questions to him. That's at 10:45 a.m. Pacific time. And then Jason Prawl is going to be on. I just listened to one of his interviews recently on, what is his name? Tom Bilyeu's Health Theory, I think, show. And also he just wrapped up a documentary about human longevity. So that'll be on Friday. We're going to get him in studio too one of these days. We're having some microphone issues, so we're going to do the show with Jason on Friday remotely. But then on Monday, we're going to be talking with Nadia Pedaguana, and we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting for me has been huge. It's something that I do every single day. I do it on a daily basis. There's a lot of different ways to do intermittent fasting. But I do it from usually around 6 p.m. in the evening to I think about 12 p.m. the next day. So like right now it's 12:15 here Pacific time, and I haven't eaten anything yet. And then I'll go home and have some fruit and break the old fast. So I do about 16 to 18 hours of intermittent fasting, and there's been a lot of studies showing the benefits of fasting, giving your body a break from eating, and how that affects your longevity, your disease process, and how healthy you are as you continue to age. So fasting absolutely has to be a part of your protocol, in my opinion. I think that the human body was meant to fast. So we'll be talking with Nadia on Monday about that. And then on next Wednesday, we're going to have a local doctor here who Kate sees, a really great guy, Dr. Darren Engels. We'll be talking to him about Lyme disease. And then next Friday, we'll be talking with Dr. William Pollack about PEMF therapy. So that would be really cool. We have the IMRS mat, which is a PEMF device that's available in our store. And we use that just about every day. And that's really fun device to lay on. So a lot of cool stuff going on Extreme Health Radio. So if you want to join the show, if you want to keep up to date with everything we have going on, probably the best thing to do would be subscribe to our newsletter. That way you can stay up to date with all of our past shows, our upcoming shows. A lot of our past shows, they just get lost. Like, there's 600 episodes that we've done that, people don't realize that are just amazing, and people sharing amazing information. So, so really, really cool stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed that show. I did want to tell you about a couple really cool products. We did a show recently with Brian Hoyer, and we did a show all about EMF, and that's available on our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is where all the sort of action is happening. That's where all the live broadcasts happen on our Facebook and YouTube channels. So if you're listening as a podcast, I'd recommend subscribing on YouTube. That way you can watch the shows. But we did a show, I think, last Friday with Brian Hoyer, and we were talking about dirty electricity and EMF and 5G. In particular, but dirty electricity is in our walls. So anytime you have electrical wiring in any of your walls, you're going to have a parallel magnetic field that goes along with that electricity. And that stuff is really damaging to your health. According to, what is his name, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, one of the things he says is if you're dealing with any sort of chronic disease, move your bed 3 feet away from where you're sleeping, because these fields are in our walls, and most of the time our homes aren't set up with the wiring correctly, and you have all kinds of radiation coming out of those walls. And if we could see it, it would be like unbelievable, to be able to see that. It's like smelling someone who's smoking, but because we can't see this stuff, it's really challenging. So that's why we've partnered with Green Wave filters. And what this does is you plug this into your wall, and it diminishes the amount of dirty electricity significantly, almost all the way gone in some cases. And you can put these in your bedroom. You can put them in different areas of your house because these non-native EMF frequencies are not native to our body. And what it does is it screws up your mitochondrial function. It screws up your body's ability to create an electrical charge. It lowers DHA levels in the body, reduces voltage. And there are studies showing that dirty electricity also increases insulin sensitivity that affects blood sugar levels. So, this stuff is massive. So that's why we're really big on the Green Wave filters. You can check those out in our store. So if you want to look at reducing the amount of dirty electricity in your walls. Now, these don't do anything to the ambient sort of 5G wireless radiation or any of this kind of stuff. This is completely separate technology. For that stuff, there's different devices that you can get and ways to mitigate your house. And we've talked to Brian Hoyer about that. You can essentially create like a Faraday cage through the use of different paints and things like that. So, but getting some of these Green Wave filters are going to really help reduce the amount of dirty electricity in your house. And also, I wanted to tell you guys about molecular hydrogen. You guys have probably been seeing this in the alternative and natural health community. Molecular hydrogen is the most powerful antioxidant in the world. And it has a therapeutic potential for every organ in the body in over 170 different disease models. You've probably been learning about this. People have been talking about it like crazy because it's such an anti-inflammatory. Let me bring up a couple different articles about. This one's from Mind Body Green, and it talks about these peer-reviewed scientific studies improving. It acts as a selective antioxidant, targeting only the worst of the free radicals, the hydroxyl-free radical known as OH. And so I'm thinking, why not combine carbon-60 with molecular hydrogen? Now that would be a combo, right? H2 supports the body's in-house antioxidant system through a selective activation of specific cell signaling pathways that are thought to contribute to the regulation of a wide variety of antioxidant detoxification and cell survival genes. I'm getting this off of Mind Body Green. Novo cell modulation, due to its ability to access the nucleus and the mitochondria, molecular hydrogen produces a unique cell modulating effect that can positively affect cell signaling, cell metabolism, healthy gene expression, resulting in substantial anti-inflammatory and anti-allergic and anti-obesity and anti-aging effects. So it's pretty crazy. Some of the benefits are improved skin health. We just had someone on that was talking about EMF and talking about how molecular hydrogen helps the body to build its stores of antioxidants in the body so that you can deal with EMF more effectively. I forget, one of our recent guests was talking about all about that. So that was pretty interesting. Diabetes. Some people take it for diseases like cancer, but obviously we can't say it does anything. People take it for autoimmune diseases, reduces pain with rheumatoid arthritis, corrects DNA damage, combats allergies, helps to reduce fat, improves cognitive function, and faster sports recovery. So this Tyler LeBaron is sort of the world's leading authority on molecular hydrogen, and we're going to get him on the show here pretty soon, talking all about it. And there's different devices that you can get, that actually make this water. Like if you're watching on the YouTube, you can get this hydrogen gas inhaler. But the problem with these is that they're about $4,000 or $5,000. But well worth it, in my opinion. That's on our list to get, is one of these things. So you can drink some of this hydrogen water, and it's pretty amazing stuff. But you can also get these tablets too, which go in your water, and it almost looks like remember those Tums, or it wasn't Tums, what was it, antacid pills or whatever you take back in the 80s? You put them in water and they would bubble up and fizz up. This is kind of what this does, and it creates molecular hydrogen. So check those out. If you guys want a coupon code, Gina over at Vital Reaction was nice enough to offer us a 10% off. So if you guys want to get 10% off of Vital Reaction, you can buy their concentrator itself, or you could get the tablets and try that out first, which is probably what I recommend, just so that you want to make sure that you like it and it does all the amazing things for you. So type in the code EHR10 if you guys want to get access to it. It's available in our store. And I don't know, in my opinion, I think it's really important to be able to use some of these technologies in our life, and to be able to really utilize these things so that we can offset a lot of these damaging factors that are happening as a result of living in today's toxic world. Like, there's that famous line in the book that says, we live in the best of times and we live in the worst of times. We have all of the insane amount of toxins and chemicals that are being thrown at us. You couple that with stress of just living a life in this modern culture, trying to get to work, trying to be on time for things, trying to do things that are damaging our mitochondria. This is the stress of living. And then you add on top of that, electromagnetic field radiation. This is the whole show we just did with Brian Hoyer. Add that to it, and then it's like, man, you have all this stuff bombarding us, and that's not even counting the food that we're eating. So we have a lot happening, and we're forcing our bodies to deal with so many things that aren't natural, and that's the issue. But what's so great is that it's not like we are aware of all this and there's no solutions. Like, the solutions are out there. The solutions are there. We just got to look for them, and we have to start implementing them into our life. And so I'm curious what you guys thought about Bob. Obviously he's got a product to sell, which is okay. It's okay to have, if you have a product that's amazing, right? And it actually does all the things, like, you shouldn't not be allowed to talk about it just because you have something to sell. It's not a crime to have something to sell. It's just, you just want to make sure that you're getting, so do some research on C60 outside of what Bob was talking about. We don't have any financial interest in him or his company, but we just wanted to bring this to you and let you guys know that it's something that's out there. And that's one of the main things that is part of my mission, is to let people know that there are options, because you're not going to go to your medical doctor and they're not going to tell you that carbon 60 exists. They're going to, give you a pill or give you something, or, offer a surgery or try to get you on chemotherapy or something, because it's not in their best interest for business to cure diseases. That's just not. And I'm not saying that C60 cures anything, and I can't say that and make any claims. But what I can say is that we have the ability, in my opinion, to cure diseases of our own. And the ultimate disease is aging. And as a result of aging, then we get sicker and sicker and the body becomes weakened electrically. The voltage, decreases, the amount of ATP that your mitochondria decrease. All of these systems start happening. So if it's possible for you to slow that down so that you can live a long, healthy, disease-free life, like, why wouldn't you do that, right? I mean, who wants to be a vegetable? Who wants to be someone who spends the last 20 years of your life dying? Just spend some time in an old folks home, or just look at the average person and what they're dealing with in life, and ask yourself if that's what you want. As the old saying goes, if you want something different, then you have to do something different every day. But if you want what everybody else is doing, just continue the protocol and the living the toxic life that other people are doing, right? So if we want something different, then it's imperative that we have to start living a different kind of life. Namin says gold is curing lung cancers. I never heard of that. Gold. But remember, we can't say the word cure, right? We're going to get the old powers that be that want to take people down for using the C word. Shirley says, from I Mean Business, says, cool, I'm going to check that out. You always have great info. Great gratitude to you and Kate. Oh, thanks, Shirley. We appreciate that a lot. We're just trying to do our best to bring information to the table. And, obviously some people don't resonate with other people, right? There's people that just think that, oh, he's out to sell something, so that's a bad thing. I don't really like him. Or, oh, I don't really like his presentation style, or whatever it is. We all have our preferences. But what I'm trying to do is at least let people know stuff like this is out there, because the rest of the media is controlled, right? We don't have the ability to get information. Like, imagine if you were able to run ads for carbon 60 or for molecular hydrogen, or for anything really that actually has an impact on our cellular biology. Imagine if they're able to do commercials like that, like they're able to do pharmaceutical, commercials. You watch these pharmaceutical commercials that only started coming out in the United States in the late 90s, when they lifted the law that banned pharmaceutical companies from running commercials for their products. That got lifted in the late 90s. And now you're seeing commercials for Abilify. You're seeing commercials for all these, chemicals that they're trying to get us on, and then the end of the commercial is like 30 seconds of side effects, right? And these things really aren't side effects. They're just effects. They're effects of the drug. And that's what these things do to you. And so why not learn more about something like carbon 60? If you don't like, Bob's presentation, get it from somewhere else, or just realize it's out there. So, that's really, Bob's a really nice guy. And, I really like him a lot. He's a cool guy. I really like his product too. We don't get anything for telling you about this, but at C60.com, it's been a little bit too early for me to notice much of a difference. If there's been anything, it's probably been a slight difference from my workouts and recovery from my workouts, but I can't say that for sure because I'm doing so many things in my protocols that it's hard to say. And I was telling Kate the other day that the last few workouts I haven't worked out as hard, so maybe that's it. Just trying to be honest here, but if there's been any benefit from there, it could be that. But a lot of this stuff is like what he's saying. A lot of you guys that if you were to try this, you guys watching on the YouTube channel right now, you're all really healthy people. So if you're already very healthy, then there's going to be way less free radical damage in your body and chemicals and toxins. You're not going to feel. It's like when someone goes on, if they're 300 or 400 pounds and they're 200 pounds overweight, and they switch from eating fast food to eating, a paleo diet, they're going to feel amazing. But you ask of someone who's been doing the paleo diet for 10 years, do they feel that same level of amazingness? Probably not, just because their body gets used to it. So I'm not convinced that everything you do take. So here's a good question: should everything you take, should you be able to feel it? What do you guys think? Because I don't feel a lot of things that I take. Now, does that mean that I'm not in tune with my body, or does that mean that I'm healthy and I just don't feel it because I'm already pretty darn healthy? Jess says, personally, I like that there are options available to try. Some people think there is nothing left, but there are so many angles to try and experiment with. Yeah, Jess, and you know what's cool too? Kate, that's awesome. You're here as well. What's cool too is that there's different levels to all of this. So there's different levels to work on. So on the physical level, which is what we're talking about here today with carbon 60 and molecular hydrogen, the Omicos 12-stage organic, water filters, the RO system. This is all physical stuff, right? But physical is just one slice of the pie. There's the emotional, spiritual. There's the light aspect of it. And then within physical, there's obviously diet, there's detoxification, there's many different aspects, there's exercise, and there's different things and aspects that you can take that affect the physical level. But then there's a whole world of exploration that can go on in the spiritual level as well. And then in the biophysics level, which is the light and the photons and electrons from the sun and the grounding and the electrical charge of the body, all of this stuff is what constitutes health. And for us to be able to carry an electrical charge in our body is what allows us to create energy in our mitochondria. And the more energy we can create and not have to use on repairing cell damage caused by free radicals, then we can use that energy that is created in our mitochondria for other processes in the body. And that's probably why the telomere length doesn't get depleted as much when someone's on carbon 60. So Shirley says, I know herbs take a while to show changes in your system. Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know. For a lot of the things that I do, I don't feel it. Zeno says, Zeno Chaos. I love that. Is that what it is? Zeno Chaos. I almost always feel a GABA or niacin supplement. That would make sense. That would definitely make sense. Obviously there's some things you feel, you take certain things and you can feel it. But I think here's the rub with this stuff is that just like with a car, that it's good and beneficial to take care of it, right? Even when it may not be dirty. Like, let's say your thing is doing a tune-up every month of your car, right? Some months you may drive 3 times as much as other months. Some other months you may barely drive at all. But if your philosophy is to fix the car every single month, then you do it because it's the right thing to do. And you preserve the longevity of the car, whether or not it needs it or not. So some things you just take, like sometimes I don't feel, sometimes I feel better when, like after a workout versus other times. Sometimes I don't feel it. Sometimes I feel really, maybe I've exhausted my adrenal stores in my body and I've overworked myself. Sometimes I feel great. Sometimes I feel just nothing. Sometimes I'll take an activated charcoal and I just feel nothing. Sometimes I'll feel it. Most of the time I don't feel it, but we do these things because we know it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do to take care of this meat suit, this space suit that God has given us. And I think that what happens a lot is that we don't look at our biology as something that is a gift, and we look at it as something that it's disconnected from our family and disconnected from anything other than us. So we think that we're just living in this body and it's our, and we get to experience what we want with the body and that's it. But our DNA is truly a gift, and what kind of DNA are we going to pass on to the next generation? So every thought you think, every time you get stressed, I was stressed out when I left our home because I was late getting here and I was stressed out. That stress affects our genetic expression. It affects everything about us. And to be aware of that, I think, is key. Now, it's one thing just to be aware of it, and it's another thing to actually work on it. So the thoughts we think, the people we're around, how we feel all the time, the food that we eat. When you're just hanging out with your friends and they're all going to eat fast food, I can guarantee you that if there are some of your friends that aren't going to eat fast food, it's probably because they want to fit into a bikini or they want to fit into a nice pair of pants. They're probably not thinking, what is this food going to do to my DNA? And how is my DNA going to be affected when I pass it on to the next generation? So now you start thinking about things that are beyond us. Like everyone wants to feel part of something that's bigger than themselves, right? The problem is that we already are. We just don't realize it. We're already a part of this thing, this intricate web of life, and we're connected to each other in such amazing ways that we don't realize that the physical aspects of what we pass on is affected by everything we see, think, and do, and take in. And so that's why it's important to realize that this DNA that we've been given is a gift, and there are people around the world that just would give anything that they have to have one day in your healthy body, And so I think it's really important for us to be grateful and to have gratitude and to really be in alignment with that, because when we realize all of this is a gift. There's a 1 in 6 trillion chance that we became human. And not only that, the fact that we live in an amazing time, it could be the year 1200 right now. We could be just, dying of, some random disease. Right? And or it could be the year 1200. We could break a leg, and there's no way to fix that. You got to suffer and die for the rest of your life. Or it could be, that we came into this life as a grasshopper. But the fact that we came in and we're human, and it's 2018, we have all this amazing access to people. It's unreal. And so I need to remind myself more of that. As I live in my daily life. Shirley says, didn't yesterday's guest state that the sauna can help reduce cortisol levels? Yes. I think he did say that. Did he say that? Oh, by the way, I wanted to let you guys know, too, the sauna is on sale for another, 4 or 5 days until, until the 23rd of September 2018. 11:59 p.m. is when that sale is going to go away. So if you guys want access to that, make sure to email me, Justin, Justin, at extremehealthradio.com. It's $150 off. Make sure to jump on that if you guys want to. I did want to let you guys know about a couple things here. I'll share these in the chat room because I keep forgetting to tell you guys about these cool summits that go on. So let me do this real quick. There's 2 summits. The female hormone summit is starting soon, and the pregnancy summit. I really wish we had watched the pregnancy summit before Kate gave birth. It would be nice to have watched that, but the pregnancy summit is coming, so I put a link in the chat room for those if you guys want access to that. It's all free information, which is cool. You sign up, you put your email address in, and then you get to watch everything for free, which is cool. I think at the end, if you want to get access to it, you can purchase the sort of DVD version or the online version later. Odette's Day says, been fasting today for Yom Kippur. It's been hard with having to feed the children and make dinner. I, however, feel fine just physically. Just need to work on mentally now. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been doing fasting too. Been really, really getting into that last couple years. When you start understanding what fasting does, you start realizing wow, a lot of the issues that we have with our health are caused not by the foods we're not eating, but by the foods that we're actually eating. So what that means is that, a lot of the foods that we're eating is actually stripping our bodies of minerals and stripping our bodies of essential vitamins and fatty acids and probiotic bacteria. The foods that we're eating are actually pulling those things out of us, and that's not good. And then you start realizing that those foods that are doing that also have probably genetically modified organisms in there, glyphosate. So they're taking away good and putting in bad. And so that's why you see someone who has low magnesium levels. It's typically because of food, what we're actually putting in. So when you fast, you turn on so many different systems in the body that help create autophagy and apoptosis and cancer cell depletion, and allowing the body to scavenge and to eat up things in the body that shouldn't be there. So fasting, I think, has to be a part of everybody's perspective in their life. Intermittent fasting is what I do, and I'm really big fan of that. I usually fast from about 6 p.m. for about 18 hours, all the way till 12 p.m. the next day. So it's like 12:45 here, and I haven't eaten yet. And whenever I feel those hunger pains, those hormones, those ghrelin hormones, I realize my body is eating up dead cells and eating up potentially harmful cells that could go haywire. And so I go into it and really be with the hunger. Food really is a spiritual discipline, isn't it? You just don't eat for a day and you realize how psychologically messed up you are and how tied to food you are and how your blood sugar and how you start going crazy. Twisted Hippie says, "Oh, wow, you had a baby. I didn't know." I haven't been Twisted Hippie, I feel like I've seen you in the chat room from time to time, right? I feel like I've seen you. Maybe we just haven't talked about it. But yeah, if you follow us on Instagram, you can see pictures of our little twin boys, and we're doing all kinds of things. So, oh, thanks for the congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, last night, Will, so our boys' names are Will and Ben. Ben slept for, he's got to be 13, 14 hours straight. Can you believe that? Man, so he's sleeping like 12 hours a night consistently every night. We have a Magnetico mattress pad. We're doing a lot of different things with light and with magnetism. We have the scalar energy rest shield. We have some other pyramids in their bed, and we're exposing them to different frequencies of light during the day. And I don't know. I don't know if it is if that's what's allowing them to sleep for 10 and 12 hours a night, but we're going to go with it. Bob Dylan says, high intensity health alive. What are you saying? HRV testing, heart rate variability testing. Everything we consume is either, this is what Odette says, everything we consume is either homegrown or organic, non-GMO. I'm blessed to be able to live this lifestyle. That's awesome. Odette, where do you live? So you grow all of your own food? It's either homegrown or organic. Okay, well, or some of it you don't grow. Wow, that's crazy. Twisted Hippie says, yeah, I've popped in a couple of times. You guys are awesome. So happy for you. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. We're doing our best. Yeah, doing our best to help educate people and to let people know about options. Because, man, ultimately it's up to all of us. Okay, Odette's from Texas. That's cool. You know who is also from Texas? We had on our show. I don't know where she lives in Texas because she is sort of wanting to make sure that no one comes and steals her garden. But Marjorie Wildcraft, and she has I think we sell one of her courses actually. In fact, you know what we're going to do is we're going to be working, I think, with Anthony Anderson from growparadise.com, and he's going to be helping us create a course for the Extreme Health Academy pretty soon. We might have to go out to Hawaii. Bummer, right? Go out to Hawaii and film some stuff with him about gardening and how to grow the best vegetables ever. So we're going to do a course that's on the list of things to do for the Extreme Health Academy so that we can learn how to grow our own food, because essentially, like the meme says, going out there, it's like printing your own money. And when they can tie you into needing them for food, growing your own food is really, really powerful. We're not doing nearly enough of it, so I'd like to start doing more and experiment. Things like that. We've done a lot of shows on, remineralizing the soil with rock dust, with different frequencies or sound frequencies that you can use to help plants grow. I think that was called sound. Oh gosh, what is the name of that product? I forget what it was, but the frequencies you can put in your garden that help your trees and bushes grow. I forgot what the name of that was, but we've done a lot of shows on that. We need to start growing some more of our own food. We need some more land. Maybe Odette, we should move to Texas and get some land there. That would be nice. Not a lot of land here in Southern California, I'll tell you. It's all we're a couple miles from the beach, and it's really challenging to get even an acre. You're looking at least $1 million for that, unless you're going to live out somewhere in like San Bernardino or something like that. But Kate says, cute double trouble. Oh, our dog, or our 2 dogs and two kids. Double trouble. So yeah, what did you guys think? Did you guys like that C60? Are you guys going to get some? Are you going to research it more? What do you think? Are you going to start taking some of that? Curious what your thoughts are about that. Let me see if there's anybody popping in on the chat on the Extreme Health Academy Facebook page. Bonnie says, I like what you said. Once you're healthy, there is no healthier you can get. I love this information and all you talk about it. This is probably some stuff. This is probably why some stuff doesn't need help or doesn't help us, because we're already to that point of being healthy. Yeah, I agree. I think that that's the case too, Bonnie. Bonnie said that on our Facebook Extreme Health Academy page. The healthier you are, I could say that, healthier you are, I would imagine that you would feel less of the good things. So let's say you were going to take something like Carbon 60 and been working on your health for 10 years. You may not feel it, but here's the opposite is also the case too, right? So you start becoming super, super healthy, and then you take something like Carbon 60 and you think, I'm not feeling anything, or I'm taking, a magnesium supplement and not feeling anything. It's probably because you're so healthy, but then the flip side is true too. When you're really healthy and cleaned out, and then you eat some fast food like a hamburger, some fries, some delicious milkshake, and all that beautiful food, that's going to weigh you down and clog you up, and you're going to be in bed writhing in pain, right? So it's kind of like it's like a bad joke, right? You really feel the food when you are really healthy and you eat something terrible. But then when you take something to improve an already existing body, it's harder for you to feel it because you're already so healthy. That's a bummer, isn't it? Shirley says, I want to listen to the show again and research. I keep coming in late since I'm at work. Yeah, that's cool. Research Carbon 60. Here's an interesting question with regards to human lifespan. We did a couple shows with Kate. Maybe the Dr. Ed Park, is that his name? Ed Park, local guy here in Newport Beach. He came into our studio a couple years ago, doing some research on the astragalus mushroom and his products that help to, I can't remember if his product helped to regrow telomeres or if they help to slow the process of the telomeres being degraded down. But here's a question for you guys. If you could live till you were 150, let's say the testing is true with mice with Carbon 60. It's a 95% increase in lifespan. So let's say that through modern technology and lifestyle, you're able to get to 100. So then now because of taking C60, you're able to get to 195 years old. The first question I have is, would you want to do that? Does that sound interesting to you? Does that sound like something that you'd be interested in doing? The second question is, what impact would that have on our society? You talk about, could you imagine if people started doing that? People are retiring at 65. The average lifespan is 76. So you're working, for 40 years to buy yourself 11 years of freedom, which doesn't make much sense to me. Makes more sense to do the work that you love if you can. That way you don't have to retire. But, it's like, if people started living to 195, I mean, imagine what that would do to life insurance, or what that would do to health insurance, or what economic impact that would have on our society, old folks' homes, hospitals, ambulance. I mean, would you guys want to do that? Or would you want everyone to live like they are now, but you get to live that long? So if the rest of everyone dies off at 77 years old and you live to your 195, would that be something that you'd be interested in? I guess it would be kind of cool to see, future generations down the line of your family tree. You can see, you could be a great grandparent of some kind. But there'd be a lot of sadness in your life too, because every friend and family member you would have would die way earlier than you. So it's a question of, is it something you would want everyone else to be able to do, and as well as you, or just you and not other people? So it's an interesting question. Odette says in biblical times, Methuselah was 969 years old, according to the book of Genesis. So the question is, I've always had, and Kate and I have talked about this, is, was he, what was the aging process like for someone like Methuselah, who was 969 years old? Was he a baby, like a newborn baby for 30 years? Or was the middle of his life extended in some way? Because if you just sort of stretch out 969 years, you're going to have someone who's, instead of being a 5-year-old toddler, he's going to be 55 years old and still a toddler, if you just slow everything down all at the same time. Or with someone like Methuselah, aging at the normal rate all the way up until, let's say, 30 years old, and then from 30 years old all the way up to 950, he had the body of a 35-year-old, 40-year-old guy. Who knows, right? Interesting questions about aging and what this is able to do. But I'm curious if you guys would want to live to your 195 years old. Crazy. I don't know. If all of your loved ones die and they're gone, would you want to do that? A lot of people think it's possible. We're going to talk with Jason Prawl on Friday. And he did a human longevity project. I think it was a documentary that just ended. And he went around the world and looked at other cultures and civilizations and tried to figure out, why is it that we don't have any examples in today's modern culture in the Western world? We don't have any good examples of people that are, 95 years old and still doing their own gardening. We don't have any examples of people that are, 105 years old and still productive members of society. We don't have examples of that. We might have examples of people living that long, but we don't have any examples of people that are actually contributing and living a fulfilled, meaningful life, right? A lot of people that are that old are simply just getting through the day. They're just existing. And so we're going to talk with Jason on Friday about this idea of, how can we extend human lifespan? And a lot of it has to do, most of it was with environment and lifestyle, and not, taking a supplement, because those things can come and go, but it's how we're living. So that's coming up on Friday. We're going to wrap up this show here. I want to let you guys know that the sauna sale is still available. Let me put my email in the chat room if you guys want to check it out and send me an email for $150 off. Justin at extremehealthradio.com. That's my email address if you guys want to email me and get access to that deal. That's going to be going until September 23rd, which is Sunday, 2018. So that'll be 11:59 p.m. if you guys want to get access to that. I shared in the chat room the two summits that are going on starting very soon. They're free summits. It's the Fix Your Female Hormone Summit, as well as the Pregnancy Summit. And also, you guys, the Truth About Cancer is coming back too, which I'm going to be really excited to share with you guys about that, because most of you guys know that I got involved in all this crazy lifestyle stuff, this healthy lifestyle stuff with my mom's cancer, with my mom's diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I'm really passionate about letting people know about alternatives to cancer. I'm putting together a page. It's always in the works on my website, extremehealthradio.com/126, of different research and different links and things that I come across in this crazy world of natural health for cancer. So one of the latest things I posted on there was this substance called artemisian. Listen to a talk by Dr. Len Saputo, and interesting presentation he gave about artemisian in cancer. So, it's really important for us to absolve ourselves of all of the resources that exist in today's world in order to empower ourselves so that we have the option of making better choices. That's what it's all about. So, like the old saying goes, and I say this a lot, but it's true, in the age of information, ignorance is just a choice. All information is available to us. And if we want to remain ignorant, we can do that. But knowledge is not bliss. Or what's the saying? Ignorance is bliss. That's not true. Ignorance is not bliss. When you have more information, you have more choice. When you have more choice, you have more options for freedom. And that's why this information needs to get out there to everybody. Odette says, my great mother-in-law is 98 and thriving. Wow. I see her on the weekends and she does all but drive. That's amazing. Wow. What are her secrets, Odette? I wonder. 98 years old and thriving. That's so cool. It's such a blessing to have her. She talks about her time in Holland and Germany. She has been around for it all. Wow. Chris, dude, great to have you here. That's awesome. Coming in late, but no, it's great to have you here. So we are going to be closing up the live show right now. We're going to do another, this will be available on our YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out. Miss Vixen says, yes, knowledge is power. It is, because with knowledge comes responsibility. So there's obviously some responsibility that happens with knowledge, but with knowledge also comes choice and options. And that's so important to have the option of choice. Like when we were growing up, there was like 5 TV channels. There was like NBC, CBS, Fox News, maybe CNN or something. But now there's 300 channels, and now you can listen to podcasts. You can basically listen and get information on anything you want. So if you're someone who's really interested in alternative health, then you can get unlimited amount of podcasts and web shows like this and different, information for you to pursue your interests. So that means we can learn at hyperspeed levels in 2018. We can learn in ways we weren't able to learn before. And when you have new information, and when you have the ability to share information with other people, it's super powerful. We can learn things in a group that we can't know just as a lone random individual. We can know things that we can't know in a group that we can't know on our own. So that's why community is so important. And that's why knowledge and getting information out there is so important, because with that comes choice. And that's why, in my opinion, the powers that be control the news and control TV, because they don't want specific information out there. That's information that allows you to take control of your own biology. They don't want that out there. They don't want you to know that there are remedies for things, because it cuts into profit. And that's why the internet right now, for what it is right now, sure, there's some issues with it, with Google and Facebook and things like that. There's some real big issues going on with the internet right now. But that's why right now it's so important to make sure you absolve yourself of all of this information so that you have choice. And you can be, if you're exposed to something, let's say you're exposed to some chemical or some, I don't know, you have some health crisis, 3 or 4 years from now. And let's say we did a whole show a while back about turmeric. I forget what episode it was, but it was all about turmeric's abilities to help the body heal, right? So let's say 5 years from now, you remember that show and you're like, oh yeah, turmeric. And then you take turmeric and then it completely reverses, whatever inflammatory process going on in your body. That's powerful. That's super powerful. Shirley says, yes, and everything went off the air at midnight. Remember that? Dude, I totally remember that. Oh my gosh. You'd be watching the news. Remember it was like, what was that movie? Was it Poltergeist? Where the picture on the cover of the movie, back when VHS was the thing, was a picture of a little kid staring at a TV screen with that gray screen. Or sometimes late at night, they would have like the national anthem come on. That was weird. I always thought that was weird. But you would have the national anthem come on. All the channels would just go away at midnight. That was so funny. Yeah. The Bible says, if you honor your mother and father, you will be blessed with long life. You know what's interesting about that? 144,000. I was watching or listening to one of our guests we've had on recently, and I want to share this because this is really interesting. He was talking about that verse in Exodus where the 10 Commandments are laid out, and that honor your father and mother. And he was saying that that's not a commandment. It's actually something that our biology actually does, whether we want to or not. And so the way he described it was really interesting. He said that from a recall healing and a family constellation therapy, you go up 3 generations and you go down 3 generations when you're looking for family traumas that could be affecting you in your life. And so what happens is that all of us, we carry the burdens of our parents. That's just what we do. It makes sense. Because like an example that I gave a while back was like, let's say you're walking down the street and your 75-year-old mom or 75-year-old dad and you are carrying a bunch of buckets of water or something heavy. You know, you're 35 years old, you're going to take that burden on for them and you're going to carry the buckets of water for them so they don't have to do it, right? So in the same way we do that subconsciously in our life. We carry the burdens of our ancestors. In our nervous system. We carry these things in our nervous system. We don't do it knowingly. We just do it subconsciously. That's why you see so many stories of people that get in the same line of work as their parents, or they have the same disease as their parents. We think this stuff runs in our family, but really it's a psychological imprint that happens at in my opinion, the electrical level that allows our subconscious mind to take on the burdens of our parents. It's our way of honoring them, right? So if, for example, if our mom or dad had rheumatoid arthritis, for example, and they were never able to overcome that, and we saw them suffer, and we love them so much, our subconscious mind and our nervous system downloads that trauma so that we can now deal with it, so that we can take that and absolve that burden from them. Weird, right? Isn't that weird? It just seems so not true, but true at the same time. Like, it doesn't seem like that's possible. Like, why would we do that? But we do that because we will honor our parents whether we like it or not. Whether we do it consciously or subconsciously, whether we knowingly do it or not, or we will honor our mother and our father. And if we can do it consciously and we do it in public, that's even more powerful. We talk about our friends or we talk about our parents in public. And, honor is like telling tales of renown, of really honoring them in a public setting. There's something special that goes on with that. And I know it's difficult to do because a lot of us have been abused by our parents or damaged in some way by our parents. But when you do these things, it's really powerful for your nervous system and to realize, and you can let that process go because a lot of their idiosyncrasies, a lot of their traumas get passed to us and they're not even ours. And so when we can honor our parents in a public setting and talk about them with renown, it does something to us on a deep psychological level. Miss Vixen says, I think the best time was when the network would shut down at 12 midnight. Yeah, totally. Remember that? And we stayed out in the sun playing all day. We were so much healthier back then. Shirley says, so true. Do a Google image search on electrification and disease, and you'll see graphs going from the late 1800s when we started electrifying America and bringing electricity into our lives and non-native EMF in the form of blue light and disease rates, and they go hand in hand. And I think, Shirley, you're so right. We need to stay out in the sun more, be outside. Being outside has so many benefits. It's unbelievable what it actually does to our bodies. There's over 1,500 different wavelengths of the sun, and I think it's like 10 to the 46th power amount of frequencies in the sun. And that's just the sun, the biophotons from the sun, not counting the Schumann resonance, not counting the electromagnetic field coming from the earth that gets passed to us through the bottoms of our feet, which have sensors for that. Breathing fresh air, being outside is incredible. If you want to heal, you got to spend more time outside. Odette says, I have 7 children just like my mother did, and her mom as well. And her mom, no way. Wow. That's crazy. Yep. Odette says, insane to think about it that way. It's true. Shirley says, yes, the guest from yesterday spoke about pets taking on our issues. Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah. Phil Wilson about the sauna. So, Shirley, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We're going to be on again tomorrow. If you guys want to join us, 10:45 a.m. Pacific time, we'll be talking about natural and holistic pet care with, what is his name? Dr. Will Falconer from vitalanimal.com. So we'll be talking to him about that. So if you have a pup, cat, join us for that show. All right, guys, thank you so much. Okay, Bonnie says, how do I see the hormones summit? Need to hear that. Okay, let's do that for you. Bonnie, I've been posting links in our YouTube chat, and so sometimes I neglect the Facebook Extreme Health Academy chat. But Bonnie, let me put a link to that here, and hopefully it will allow for me to do that. Yeah, okay. There you go. Okay, I put that on the Extreme Health Academy. All right, guys, so make sure to join the Extreme Health Academy. This is where we take all of the concepts that we talk about on our show and we distill them down into practical assets and practical protocols and tips and all that kind of stuff. This is where we take what we do on the show and put it into practical ways of implementing it into our life. And so this month in the Academy is going to be all about heart health. So anybody with cardiovascular disease, heart disease, any issues like that, cholesterol, we're going to be doing an entire course on heart health. We've done courses on cancer, on the digestive system, on hormones, on the 3 stressors. It's an amazing place. So if you guys want to join the Academy, let me give you a coupon code for a free 14-day trial. If you're an Extreme Health Radio fan, just use the code EHR14. Or if you're a Dr. John Bergman fan, use the code Bergman, B-E-R-G-M-A-N, Bergman14, and both of those will get you a free 14-day trial. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsors for today's show. Some really awesome products, and big fan of these products. So those were the Omica 12-stage reverse osmosis water system, the Juve red light therapy to bring more of the healing frequencies of the 660 to 850 nanometers of red light into your mitochondria. And then we did the molecular hydrogen by Vital Reaction, and then the green wave filters. So if you guys want access to any of that stuff, just go to extremehealthradio.com, and there's a link in our store to check out any of those products. So that's how we keep the show free. That's how we keep the engines running. That's how we pay the bills for all this equipment that we have here and the shows that we do, and that's how we keep it all running. So thanks, guys, for your support, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. Pacific time with Will Falconer, and then on Friday 10:45 as well with Jason Prawl talking about longevity and lifestyle and how we can extend our longevity. So love you guys very, very much. You're amazing. Thanks for all your support in our store and buying through our Amazon link, and your people being patrons and all that stuff. We appreciate you guys so much. So amazing to be here and amazing to have an awesome community. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10:45, and until then, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information in this blog or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment/cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be continued as such. Always work with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, prescription drug use, lifestyle, or exercise activities. This information is provided as is, and the reader/viewer assumes all risks from the use, non-use, or misuse of this information.